Hi, today we're going to be doing a video about the first 10 to 15 marks that you make on your page and then the last 10 to 15 marks that you make on a page. I was suggested to do this or asked to do this by a friend of mine named David who's getting better and better as an artist, and he asked me, he just wants a guideline of how you start it and how you say, I'm done. And as most artists know, overworking a piece is always, your biggest mistake. So this is going to be a quick 20-minute sketch. I might run into 40, depends on the timing that I have. But it's going to be a quick sketch of a figure, and I'm going to lay out how I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to do the last marks of how to accent those. Like sometimes the last marks are just the highlights and the lowlights. So here we go, let's start. Okay, so we're going to be starting this video about the first 12 marks to the last 12 marks. And what we mean by that is, what are the first marks that you put on the paper when you're getting ready to draw, when you're mapping out a model? So I have my model in front of me, and what I'm doing is I'm just doing where the shoulders are and where the hip line is. And so my first marks that I make, let me put them in white. It's a little bit easier for you guys to see. Okay, so the first things I do is I do the head. The head tells me basically what my figure is going to be doing. So let's say that's my first mark. That's just a general first mark right here. Top of the head, jawline, okay? Then I'm going to match where the shoulders are. And where I see the shoulders are going like this. So I will do this to that. So this is 1 and this is 2. Then I want to see is what I assume would be where his spine is. And his spine, because the next thing would basically really be his hip line. And his hips they're doing this. They're going the other way. So let me mark, this is his hips like this. So let me see. I do this, and then I put it on there, basically just like that. So then so that's 1, 2, 3. So then I have to do where his spine is, and that's basically going to go arch like this. That's basically what his spine, behind this, the shoulder line, which is right here. Let me make sure you can see it on the video. There, and here's the shoulder line, okay, right? I mean, this is the spine, and here's the hip line, okay? Now what I'm going to do, and you could start by measuring the heads, and you could do the whole 8.5 heads down and 1.5 on the shoulder, but I basically don't do it that way. I measure and I measure and I map. So I'm going to then put his leg line down. So his leg, he's got another leg that's holding the weight. How you tell what leg is holding the weight is what foot is underneath that head, because your shoulders and your upper body are being held by the weight of that foot down there. So it's either going to be his right foot or his left foot. In this case, it's on his right foot. So he's going to, this is basically his hips like this, and his right leg goes like this and comes around to here, and his foot is right underneath his head right there. And it's facing us like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where his leg is. And then the other leg is, let me get the right angle on that bend. It's like this. And this knee breaks above that knee. That's not part of our marks, but we want to put our legs down first. And then this one returns like this, and the foot. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you can make that as the leg. And then we have, and this is all we're doing. We're doing a stick figure. This is a stick figure. Now, the arms you can put in now, and that can be part of your mark. And I will talk to you about how I map it out quickly, but that's not really how I do the mapping for me personally. Because his chin line is upright a little bit. His chin line is basically meeting the break of his shoulder. Okay, so I'll start mapping like that. And I have his arm, which is now, his arm is, it's hooked onto his pocket, which is right here. and it is like this, and the elbow breaks. If his belly button's here, it breaks just above his belly button, and it's down to here. So it's in his pocket. And then this arm is leaning on a chair, and it is breaking just above the other one by this much. So you map that, and then over, and it's leaning on a chair. Okay, and so that's my basic. What I also do for myself, and this nobody has to do this. If this is the spine, then I say the rib cage is over here, and that's basically how I look at it, because that gives me the volume of the person right there. Okay, so that's my marks. I have the head, I have the angle of the shoulders, the angle of the hips, I do the spine, I do the angle of that leg and catching the weight down here, I do the next leg, and then the arms. And then that's my marks. Those are basic guiding marks for me for the rest of the piece. And now we're going to go forward, we're going to start drawing, and I'm going to speed it up from here. Okay, so we're going to talk really briefly about the last few marks that you would make on your piece of artwork. As you could see, most of the work was done in mediums. I do have some dark tones in here, but I'll be blending those out later, and I'll show you a finished piece at a later date. But, you know, for me, it's important to get the mediums. All in here is all basically medium tones. And what really we're looking to do is create lines without creating lines. So as you can see, I don't really like to see lines. I want to have shadow behind it so I don't actually have to have lines, okay? So the last few marks that I'm going to make on my piece is really just to get the mediums into more of a, to be dark or light, or to balance them between the two. So what I'm going to do is, in this, I'm going to just really at this point be working with my dark color and with my light color. So I have these two that I'm going to be working with. Everything else is basically in mediums. For smaller areas such as in here, which I do want to highlight, which is around the eyes, I'm going to need to use my smaller pencil. So I'm going to work on the face first, and we're going to just do the highlights and the lowlights very quickly. So, and I'm going to use my little blending brush in between just to kind of pick that up. So the highlights right here, because the light is coming from underneath, I have a light coming from underneath. So up here we have to hit the brow line. So if I was using a pastel, which I'm not, I'm using a chalk, I would probably have to just, I would just put a little quick mark on there. So let's blend that in. And he has, so this is my last part, and then we have to check the cheekbone up there, and that's catching the light. So you really kind of want to mark that, and right in this little place in the underneath in his eye area right there. Okay, so that's basically lit, and then this is all highlighted. And in here in the crease in his nose right here, that's picking up the light right there. And of course, his nose. And then his nose right there is catching the light, right like that. Okay? So you have to get that face worked out. And the details on there. And for a little pointy, I usually would have a sharper black point, but I don't have a sharper black marker right pastel right now, so I'm going to just use this. So I will blend that out. So that's, let's just work on that being the face. Then underneath the chin where the light is hitting it right there, I'm going to pop that just a little bit. And I'm going to hit the jugular right here, just like that. And if I was really getting into wanting to be busy with it, I would probably hit the earlobes and do all this ear detailing here. But this is a quick sketch, so I want you to understand we're going to pick up the highlights there. So the most important thing is picking up the highlights in the face. If you're going to be focusing on other parts of the body, you would be doing the lights on his hands and his arm. But then the next thing that I'm going to be doing is now filling in the negative spaces. Now the thing about negative spaces is negative spaces don't always stay, you know, black and white. Sometimes black or white. Sometimes they blend because this, you see, the background is sort of a medium tone, and you're seeing the light from his arm is being picked up, as well as you're seeing the black from the side of his shirt is being picked up. So you're going to have that. Now over here on this side, just because of where the light is hitting different things in the room, I have a lighter area over here. So the last thing I want to do is create my negative spaces. And the negative spaces are really what's going to pop the figure out. I also have a chair here, and if I was spending a lot of time, I'd probably draw the chair there. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to do it like this. We're going to mark out that positive, negative area. It's darker up here, it's lighter down here because that's where the light's hitting it. And I would blend it down. with my sponge. There we go. Blend it down. Okay. At that point, with this piece, I would probably only hit the last couple of pieces that I would do to really have accent is the light is hitting it really hard on his hand right here. And the way, I'd spent a lot of time on the hand because the hand is interesting, the way the light is hitting it. And, you know, where it hits his knuckles. So the last few pieces that I do on every piece of artwork is the highlights and the lowlights. So that's my last few marks, really, is just to encourage where is the dark and where is the light in this piece. It's really interesting around this area right here, what the jeans on that bottom leg are doing, and it's really picked up by the highlights behind it. So I would do this, and those are really my last marks. So, and then what you're going to do is blend it in. Take your sponge and blend. So you're just going to blend, blend, blend. Bring that down, smooth it out. No matter what you're working on, you're going to have to blend it out like so. So the back behind him here, you might want to create a line, I want to say, but not really, you know, because it's really blocked out. It's blocked out with just the back of his leg. It's really not detailed in any way because it's lost in the shadows. So really the only thing that I would do over there and probably over here is just create a strong line of the back of it. So that's basically what I would do. Those are the last marks that I would make on this piece, is just encouraging where that shadow line is, encouraging where the light is bouncing, where the dark is bouncing, and just creating that real finished look. And this is a sketch. This is a very quick sketch. The whole sketch probably took about 45 minutes to do. If you're working on something for days or hours, you know, this is just the start of it, and then you work on and on and on. But when you're doing a sketch and you're in life drawing and you're doing a quick 20-minute drawing, you can, you know, this is just basically, think of it as a 20-minute drawing. Then what you're going to do is put in your mediums. Then the first mark is marking out where everything goes, where the arms are, where the legs are, where the body is. The rest of it is working in the medium tones. And then at the end, put in your darks, put in your lights, and blend it in. Okay? Thanks for watching. And subscribe for more videos every week.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos.